Excellent. We will proceed with the meeting then. Item 1, apologies for absence. We have apologies from Councillor MacDonald. Item 2, minutes of the previous meeting. Can we read those as a true record? Agreed. Thank you. Item 3, I haven't had any requests to confirm or vary the order of business. Item 4, are there any declarations of interest? No. Then we can move on to item 5 then, status of community involvement for Ipswich Review. Councillor Jones.
Chair. This is a draft document which will go later to Council, so I won't say too much here. But it's a document that sets out how the Council intends to involve the community in the planning system. That is, in the preparation, the publication of documents and in planning applications. And the community comprises not only the public local residents, but businesses, landowners, and statutory agencies, among others. It's been, as the introduction is clear, through, I suppose, 2 lots of consultation, one with the Call for Ideas in 2012, and last summer and autumn, an 8-week formal public consultation period. The comments received and the Council's response to them, including amendments made to the document as a result of are listed under appendix to this report. The background says why you have to do this. We're required to do it as part of the local development scheme to review and update, and it is in one way clear updating as legislation and so on has changed, but also it's important for us to reflect on how our own consultation processes have gone, how successful they've been, and to make adjustments as a result. I think, Chair, that's probably all I want to say. I'd like to thank Mr. Hobbs and his team for the production of the draft document, which is at Appendix 1. We did sit down and go through this in some detail, I think trying to simplify it. You know, I was imagining it, reading it as a layperson and trying to work out, how I would know how to respond. And sometimes I thought we were making it very simple at the time, and now I'm beginning to doubt it. But I think it is clearer than the original document was. So, Chair, I'm content to move the recommendations 13.1 that we put, and there may be minor changes made, but it would go to the Council in March.
Do we try anything?
I think that the original document was around 60 pages long, and this one's just over 20, so we've tried to simplify it somewhat. We've also taken into consideration how consultation has actually been undertaken since the document was adopted in 2007, and the previous document did result in council spending quite a lot of money on what we felt was unnecessary duplication. For example, putting 200 documents just to be viewed by the public in more than one location, and the cost of printing those 200 documents was very excessive. So we've tried to simplify it and not lose the essence of what the document's about, which is to engage the community in the planning process, both for planning applications and for local plan making. So we feel we've achieved those documents. This helping subject to 2 rounds of consultations, council getting contact, and you'll see in Appendix 2, there's a lot of feedback we've received, and we've addressed each comment individually, and we feel that we've changed the document as a result of that consultation for the better, and we're happy with it going forward to council for adoption.
Any questions or comments anybody has? No? By the time we have a local plan in place, we might have the considerations absolutely perfect. Can we agree with recommendations?
Madam Chair, may I get my apologies now? I'm going to do fair trade in another part of season 14.
If we're going to move on to item 6, review of green travel.
Thank you. So the council has a travel plan in part to encourage more sustainable forms of transport. It works by charging staff and councillors rates to mark that money going to adopt subsidised green forms of travel, buses, trains, etc. And perhaps the idea that the fee may also encourage car sharing amongst staff. Staff are charged according to their pay grades, and new pay grades under the council's civil service harmonisation policy. Means a new threshold which is listed in 4.3 of the report. It's noted here that most staff will pay the same, some will pay less, and the council will, as a result of it, policy continue to encourage green travel and show some leadership on green issues as well. I just wanted to note that there will be a full review of the operation of the plan before consultation staff in due course, but I'd like to move the recommendation.
Can we read recommendations? We're going to move on to item 7, review of Constitution. Can I just check that everybody has got the revisions sheet? Obviously, this is the council's. Obviously, the Constitution is a substantial document, and the changes to it, while significant in some areas, don't affect all of it. So we have tried to cut down on printing costs. So I've got the printed copy, which is, I believe the other group leaders have a printed copy as well. Should anybody in their group wish to see it. There has been quite an exhaustive process that we've gone through. It has been to the Constitution Working Group, Councillor Knowles was the chair, I sat on it, Councillor Chedshie and Councillor Can. Section 2 gives a brief overview of the changes to the Constitution that we've brought in, contract standing orders in particular, something I know Councillor would be interested in. We have changed them to include requirements for contractors and suppliers to pay a living wage, promoting local economic activity, and also disqualifying contractors who engage in unlawful practices, e.g. unlawful practicing. So that is picks up things that we have asked for before. The Office of Scheme Delegation removes some bureaucracy around decision-making around HR. We did say right at the very outset when we took control of council that when we implemented single status harmonisation, we would disestablish the Human Resources Committee. I think possibly some people took that as a promise that we would never abolish a Human Resources Committee, but we are single status harmonisation does come in on 1st of April. So from the new year we will have new arrangements which we don't have Human Resources Committee. There are effectively new policies will come to the Executive Committee. There will be some residual items such as Chief Executive's pay and so forth that goes to full council for decision. There will be an ad hoc advisory panel which will make recommendations. And we've got a new employee code of conduct. In particular, this sets down so that everybody's clear of what we should expect from our employees. I think one thing that I know councils are particularly keen on is that there is a training around the issue of officer requests for information from councillors, so that everybody is aware of the timescales that we should be operating to. Just one final point, I believe Mrs. Barrett has got just an additional recommendation so that we can make minor amendments to the Constitution leading up to the council meeting. Have you got?
Yeah, I would just like to point out that the employee code of conduct is still going to HR committee and audit and governance committee, so they could make minor amendments to that within their remit. So I'm suggesting that the additional recommendation at 9.5 will read to authorise the launching officer to make any further amendments of an administrative nature in consultation with the leader of the council portfolio holder prior to the council meeting, so that we do get a final copy with all the typos and any amendments required by HR and audit and governance tidied up before the council meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments?
Presumably such amendment should not include any reference to continuing HR meetings.
I think that goes without saying.
If there were such a recommendation from HR committee, we may have a bit of a tussle at the end. It is a clear long-standing policy of this administration. Are there any other comments? So, we take the report with the revisions and with the additional recommendation as outlined by Mrs. Barrett. Can you do those? Agreed. Thank you very much. Then we move on to item 8, financial management control board monitoring. Councillor Cook.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This is a standard report that councillors will be well aware comes forward every quarter. This one covers the third quarter from October to December. Most of the report is routine. I'll just pick out a couple of elements to highlight. First of all, in section 5, which talks about variances on the general fund. The background of the general fund is good. Overall, they are underspending on budgets currently, and the number of variances is low, but that doesn't mean that there aren't any variances. And I think as the pressures on the general fund increase and we squeeze out things like inflationary increases in budgets, we can reasonably expect the number of variances to increase over time. As far as what you have this quarter, there are a couple. First one is at 5.5, where it's highlighted that water usage at Crown Pools is higher than anticipated, and there's a supplementary estimate there for £20,000. And the second one at paragraph 5.6, which is the events programme, which has been something that has been increased to a higher level during the current financial year. That has overspent relative to budget by up to £117,000. Officers are taking steps to try and collect outstanding sponsorship sums and take other action to reduce that overspend where possible. But it's likely that there will still be an overspend there, which is why it's being highlighted now. One of the things also that I'll be doing, speaking with Mr. Hudson and the finance team, is looking at what steps can be taken to try and improve the monitoring in this area, so that when variances occur, they are highlighted and identified at the earliest possible opportunity. So that's section 5 on general fund. The next area to sort of highlight section 12 on treasury management. I'll again mention 12.2, which makes clear that the council hasn't taken out any new borrowing during the quarter, nor in the whole of this year. In fact, we're actually reducing our debts, we're repaying our loans, reducing our indebtedness over time. 12.7, which talks about veritable bank, the amount of money that's received back there now almost 94%. In 12.8, the news that broke recently that we, along with about 70 other local authorities, have sold our investment in Landsbank, therefore sort of consolidated our losses and received a larger amount of money back than we had originally anticipated in the budget, which is obviously good news. The number of local authorities that are still holding on to their investments is now down to about a dozen only. In 12.8, 10, which talks about the recent banking tender that was mentioned in council at the time before last, so they're going to move in now from the Co-op Bank, who are withdrawing from the local government market, and moving into the Lloyds Bank with effect from April 2014. Last point to raise, section 13 on key financial indicators. This is on target, apart from the first one, which is the average invoice value. That is stubbornly a little bit lower than the higher value that we would hope for maximum efficiency. I do believe that this is something we can do something about as part of the transformation programme attention on procurement matters. So that's all I wanted to highlight. Thank you, Chair.
Only one. Councillor Cook drew attention to the performance indicator on average invoice value. I think up to future reports we might add an additional performance indicator here on use of the government current card, which we do encourage the use of for lower value invoices. And this has increased a lot recently, so that is actually having an impact of actually driving that first indicator in the opposite direction. So we need to look at our strategy to an extent.
Are there any questions or comments on the board? Can we agree the recommendations? And then if we move on to item 9, outcomes of maintenance and contracts, service review.
Maintenance and contracts was one of the early service reviews to be subject to reviews under the transformation programme, and this report sets out some of the outcomes and some of the things that we feel should be explored and developed further. Those details are in paragraph 4. I wasn't intending to go through all of those, but just in case people, for instance, I'm looking at paragraph 4, in case they don't know what an MOT for a property is, that means that we would be going to properties where there's been a little bit of a history of a lot of demands for repairs on a systematic basis, and initiating things in the sense that we would call and have a good look at the property to try to stave off problems for the future, and also to try to impart some knowledge and information to the tenants to avoid repair costs in the future. So the idea of that is that it should just be a pilot to see how that goes. I believe that most of the other things there seem to make sense. I would just mention as well, though, perhaps the take by right principle, which is mentioned in there, whereby maintenance and contracts would have first option on work to our properties. And there's also mention towards the end there about possibility and therefore looking and exploring the possibilities of commercial trading, which we would hope would bring in some money in the future. So all of those, many of those things, or all of those things have been reported to the Housing Working Group, where we said that it's those things not agreed will be worked up and further developed. And so that is the position as it is. So I'd like to move the recommendations in there.
Thank you. Any comments? Obviously, we have we are proposing quite significant saving on the plan maintenance programme, and we are able to, as a result of that, increase in some other areas the various increasing standards and so forth that we know the tenants have requested over the years. So this is a good outcome on this review. Shall we agree with the recommendations of 11? Agreed. Thank you. And we move on to item 10, bid for National Park and Museum status. Councillor Repton.
Thank you. Yes, this is an opportunity to apply for this status, which you can see in paragraph 1.4 traditionally only two museums in the east of England had its status, Norfolk and Cambridge University, but it shows ambition, which we want to show, and in fact, even if we were not successful, would perhaps be a gateway to other funding. That's the way it works in that sort of business. I'd like to particularly thank Mrs. Puck and Mr. Moll, who worked throughout the weekend to get this into the excellent shape that it's in. It's difficult to predict, frankly, sometimes what's going to happen, but I think it's certainly worth applying for this because it's money and will be definitely part of our High Street campus aspirations, really, the building blocks that are around this. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chair. Just to build on what Councillor Ruggan has said, obviously this would be another building block in relationship with the Arts Council, both for our capital proposals and also to support designation of the Ipswich collections, which is a process we haven't managed to achieve because of a freeze in the process through Arts Council, but again, we provide funding for that and to develop further plans around the teaching museum and international relations.
Thank you. I think it was a surprise when Sims did lose its funding at the last round of cuts in the Arts Council. I think if we are successful in this bid, it probably take us back to where we were before, where we were expecting. But certainly would be, it is not certain, but it would be a boost to museum service should we be successful in this. And I think it is the right thing to do. Are there any other comments or questions? No, if we can agree recommendations of 13 then.
Agreed.
Thank you. Move on to item 11. Appointment of employers agent for development at Ravenswood UPW.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, as the report says, the employer's agent and quantity surveyor are these specialist roles. They provide technical input in respect of leading up to the tenders for the actual development and deal with and advise on design and building. This is one in a series of developments, as you will be aware, as members will be aware. So this is for the latest one, Ravenswood. The details of the tenders obviously will be in the closed session a little bit later on. This report is just to agree that we accept the recommended tender in that report.
Obviously good news that we are continuing to make progress on further developments of sites, and obviously this report and the next report are the latest stages of the pipeline, which will see us building 300 new council houses over the next few years. So good news that we're continuing at pace. Can we agree recommendation 12.1?
Agreed.
Thank you. And then a single report, item 12, appointments of employers agent for development at Ulster Avenue.
A very similar report, Chair, and yes, continuing to provide the good news on this at a pace, as you say, and so the recommendation is similar to the last one, this being obviously for the Ulster Avenue development.
I take it you we are very straightforward. Can we agree recommendation on this report as well? Excellent, thank you. And move on to item 13, general insurance services. Councillor Cook.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This report addresses the Council's insurance services contract, which is currently with Zurich Municipal, and which expires in April 2014. We had further discussion actually on this matter of the Council's insurance and resources working group that our councillors participated fully in and found quite interesting, much to their surprise. One of the matters that we looked at was the question of whether or not the council should have ground up insurance. In other words, whether we should have a zero excess and the insurer deals with all claims and pays everything. But I have a certain level of attraction to it because officers do spend quite a lot of quality time thinking about the merits or demerits of different claims that are made against the council, whether we should pay out or not, and what the risks and rewards are of settling versus legal action and so on. So having the insurer deal with all of that was quite an attractive proposition. However, unfortunately, as it says in the report, when this was actually put out for tender, it came at a very high price and not one that we would be able to pay within our current budgets. The kind of level of premium that would be required for that would be around 1.1 million a year, which is significantly above our budget currently, just over 700k. Anyhow, we did go out to tender. We did it on a collaborative basis with Waveney and Suffolk Coastal Councils to bring some efficiencies and hopefully some lower pricing through the process. The process concluded, and the details are in the exempt appendix, but the recommendations effectively are at 13. 13.1 that we don't take up the option of ground up cut, that we continue with a kind of excess basis as we do at the moment. 13.2 that we award the contract to supplier 1 will be revealed in the purple paper.
Thank you very much. Do you wish to add anything? I'm sure it was a fascinating because you were at the meeting. Are there any questions or comments on the report? No? Can we agree recommendations? Thank you very much. And then item 14, can we move the exclusion of public so we can have discussion of commercially confidential matters? Do you agree? Thank you very much.